Working dogs, if I may just give a general perspective, have been in existence probably since the first time dogs and human beings got into a relationship. Dogs will benefit or benefited from human beings in the early settlement, prehistoric times, and so did human beings benefit from dogs. Again, all of it was based on welfare. Dogs keeping close to human settlements got protection and probably food, and human beings got protection from the dogs. Between the two of them, they got companionship. When we learned that we can train these dogs, and again, of course, a working animal is defined as that animal that is trainable or has been trained to do some chores or some tasks for a human being, be it a dog, be it a donkey, a horse. And humans learned that with the dog's intelligence and ability to learn tasks and tricks for a reward, then they can be put to work to work for human beings. Now, as economies grow and as human beings spread and the world becomes a global market, we are seeing increased use of dogs in security, in detection work, in conservation work, in rehabilitation, in medical work, in medical support dogs, and many other uses that you can use dogs for, you can train dogs to do. Our particular concern or our particular interest is dogs in security, and dogs in security are used for protection and for explosives detection. We also do a bit of narcotics detection, and excuse me for having to refer to the organization we work for. It's by no means intended in a bad way, but we'll make reference to that because we've really done a bit of international benchmarking for our working dogs. So the kind of dogs that you'll find in security, and I will concentrate on that, though we can use dogs for many other reasons, are protection dogs, and those protect businesses, safeguarding livelihoods on that end. Then you also have explosive detection dogs that protect masses from malicious elements, people who want to do harm to people and property. So those are the two main focus that we're going to have. Now, as I speak about the perspective of using these dogs and what encouraged me and encourages me every day as I work for this organization is the amount of people who depend on dogs, myself included, for a livelihood. Especially in this part of the world, this is gaining importance, and probably in Africa, I think we are looking at about $1 million a year revenue coming out of dogs. Now, cash is king. Anybody who hears such a big amount of money, of course, catches their attention. Investors, people who own the companies we work for, of course, would like to take note of that and take advantage of that. Now, the beauty about dogs and the products that we use for dogs, because they give us a good margin. Now, when you safeguard the welfare of these dogs, because we can't pay them like we pay our workers or pay ourselves with money, the only way we pay our dogs is by providing the suitable welfare and whatever else they need to be comfortable. My presentation is general. My presentation will kind of look at the forest. We are privileged also to have our company veterinarian, Dr. Desmond Tutu, who will go into the technical aspects of this. So I'll stick to the generalities and I'll keep it granular. So it will filter down and Desmond will be able to give us the details about how he conducts or how we conduct our welfare practices. I've already defined a working animal, and basically dogs are used for protection or detection work in civilian and military security uses and the other uses that I've said. And of course in Kenya we are seeing the number of households keeping dogs for security purposes going up. But more importantly, the dogs that we have employed in security business. Our company has about 850 dogs in Africa. We are looking to expand that into the Middle East and move on to the North American market. Probably in the next 8 months, we should be having about 1,000 dogs. General considerations, and like I've said, working dogs are becoming important drivers in revenue for security companies, and of course supporting livelihoods. Now, providing safe and secure environments for businesses safeguards the productivity and by extension contributing to the economy in those companies that we protect, and vice versa, of course, for providing income and livelihoods for people who work with dogs. We cannot pay dogs with money. The only way we can pay dogs is by providing them and safeguarding their 5 freedoms. The welfare of these dogs is enforced by users and is prompted by one of these, not limited to the following, but one of these elements, statutory requirements, where the governments will instill, or the industry will follow the laws that are laid down by the country where we work. Industry standards, that is law and the consumer organizations that advocate for these products, use of these products. Peer requirements, where we are members of professional associations. One association that I would like to mention, I'll mention 2 that we adhere to. You have the North America Working Dog Association. We have the National Association of Security Dog Users from the UK, who inspect and accredit us. Brand promise, when you work in the corporate world and in a free market, you have to give your clients some promise in whichever country that you work in. So we have some promise that we give, a promise of quality, and also we have pride that we work for and the standard that we want to adhere to. Then you have lobbying by the public or end users. Clients will tell us what they require. They do not want to see a thin dog. They don't want to see a dog carrier van that is old or has parts that are protruding or too small or too big, where we kennel dogs. So we also listen to that. Sorry about that. Now, providing welfare for the company, speaking from our perspective, is costly. Costly, I've put it in quotation marks because, of course, it costs money. And as business people and in our strategy, we look at controlling or mitigating against our costs to improve our margins. So in providing the 5 freedoms, good kennels cost money, maintenance of the same kennels cost money, but we have to create proper business policies and strategies to make sure that we do not water down the provision of the 5 freedoms. Now, working dogs are direct costs. You have to buy these dogs and they're not cheap, they're quite expensive. We have to invest in their training, maintenance and management, which are all what we call management costs or overhead costs, which you still have to factor in when you're doing our business models. Now, the majority of working dogs are assets of the registered security companies, and their welfare is, of course, addressed with this in mind, where the quantifying the gains must be based against the costs of these dogs in the profit and loss accounts and the balances and financial statements for the shareholders. Now, this is important because, again, you're answerable to the owners of the company as you want to institute or you want to fight for these 5 freedoms for the working dogs. Now, the welfare provision is recoverable, again, in mitigating and in trying to convince the shareholders and the business at large. The cost of welfare provision is recoverable in a multiple of ways. Some could not be tangible, but some could be quantifiable, some could not be quantifiable. But you have increased work output from from these dogs that you're taking very good care of. You have longevity, so when you have longevity, then that means your dogs will work beyond their book value. Policy, again, detects that it's an asset, so you depreciate this asset of about 4.5 years, in straight line. So if this dog is going to work for you for more than 5 years, beyond the 5 years, whatever expense you had in your profit and loss goes to your bottom line. The feel-good effect in workers. Our dog handlers, if paid well, if paid allowances and they earn more than regular security officers, will take better care of these dogs. They are proud of what they do, proud of the uniform they wear, proud of the dogs that they handle, and this has a knock-on effect. One of the things that people forget to look at is you chase your profits, chase your revenues, and forget the people who work for you. But if you take care of the people who work for you, the benefits accrue. All this will lead into increased business, and this you can take to the bank and say, I am putting in the welfare requirements for these dogs because they are going to lead to increased productivity. Now, to institutionalize welfare in these organizations, I'm saying that information is power, and sensitizing people, those who work for the companies and with these dogs and those who are our clients, is important. Now, you're sensitizing to the welfare for working dogs, and that the expected benefits is the most important step in the process, because if you change minds, we learned about humane education, you're learning about the most important factor in welfare being the actual human being, because animals will not fight for themselves, they will not speak for themselves. You have to convert the human beings. Dissemination and continuous methodical presentation of the facts will ingrain the improvement of welfare for working dogs alongside the following other efforts. Enforcement through the laid down laws, government subsidies for businesses or individuals or charities. For example, I would expect the local county governments to give subsidy to security companies as long as they meet the bare minimum standard for welfare. Involvement, the incentives you're talking about, involvement of veterinarians in diverse industries. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'll be going to Afghanistan because of dogs, but hey. And it's important because if a vet has been trained in animal welfare and you're able to get your foot in the door to fight for dogs, and I'll do it until the day I drop. Objective studies to prove the commercial benefits of investing in welfare, including welfare in industry standards, what we're doing now, and education to change the innate perceptions that lead to infringement of welfare. Now, general guidelines, part of which the vet will talk into in technical detail. Working animal welfare is applicable in the following categories: identification and record keeping. If you microchip, we microchip all our dogs as a matter of policy. It's not cheap, it's expensive, but you have to do it. Then this dog cannot be allowed to work for more than 12 hours. But how do you prove? If you have 400 bowables that look the same, anybody can cheat. If you have a microchip reader and swipe this dog, an RFID or a microchip will not cheat. So you'll know this dog has worked for 12 hours according to standard. Breeding management. We do not promote puppy mills. We breed our own dogs as much as possible so that we can keep the quality and make sure we provide the 5 freedoms. Selection for best fit for task, that is a breed, gender, and age, because we have different uses for these dogs. Training for specific tasks, proper housing and boarding, proper transportation, feeding to match use, rest. Our dogs will at least once a month have their rest and relaxation. Proper handling and training equipment, full-time health care, that's veterinary support and health insurance, retirement or removal from work policy. We try to maintain a retirement kennel in all our establishments. We have a proper certified disposal policy where dogs that are taken out from work, either because of age or ill health, are humanely put to sleep. And specialty considerations for harsh environments. Dogs working in Somalia and Afghanistan must be carried in air-conditioned vans. Some of them, we get for them harnesses that are special, that are used to keep them cool, and sensitization of those working with dogs as a continuous extension education approach. Thank you very much for your attention.